Hi, this is Ted. Ted knows for a fact that he does not have genetics that was 100% transferred from God to Ted, and Ted being 100% the genetics of God that were transferred spiritually into the womb of a human woman or female. How does Ted know that? Because Ted does have some genetic defects. Ted has a few health problems that are related to genetic defects. Now, why would God transfer 100% genetics to the womb of a human woman or female and conceive Ted, and give Ted genetic defects? God wouldn't. Does God have that ability to spiritually transfer genetics spiritually into a human woman or female or a virgin? No, absolutely not. That was deception infiltrated into the Old Testament, and God in the host basically at some point in time said we have absolutely no choice but to use misinformation to basically counter that, and therefore to get some to believe that a certain birth was the Messiah and Christ, and then we would say legally that is the Messiah and Christ. Okay, therefore that's something we had to do. We didn't name Ted the Chosen One until after Ted was born, that we could verify that was a healthy baby boy, and was a boy, a B-O-Y, a boy, a male. Therefore, what do we do with Jesus? That is a good question, isn't it? Why does Ted doesn't know the answer to that yet? Ted's still getting the truth. The hosts are really tongue-in-cheek with some of this. They really don't want to tell Ted. Ted asks some of these questions, about why, and they really don't want to tell Ted. It's like, Ted, if we tell humans on board with that, they're never going to believe us. They're going to think we're a bunch of liars, we're a bunch of deceivers. We call it misinformation, and it's not really a liar deception. But how do we skirt around this? How do we get around this? How do we break it to them? How do we break it to them after all these, over 3,000 years of cover-up and all of these cover-ups? How do we break some of this news to them? How do we give them some of this truth? How do we give them more of this truth that scientifically makes sense? Because a lot of the scientists out there are starting to say some of this doesn't make sense, and they're questioning, religion. They're questioning the Old New Testament, and it's true. Some of it doesn't make sense because some of it never happened like that. Some of it is exaggeration. Some of it's deception. There's many things in Old and New Testament that if you just take the Old and New Testament, you can actually prove major conflicting inaccuracies to the point where there's some kind of inaccuracies in Bibles. That's true. You can figure that out. You can prove it if you're looking for it. And if you're looking for the truth, you would be looking for that and figure that out at this point in time.